Welcome back. All right, time for some news of the day. It's a pretty full board. Not all of it is about the ongoing protocols and shutdowns and everything. So we'll start off with what everybody's been talking about since last night. And it's John Tortorella benching Laine. You know, the interesting thing to me is that A, Columbus wins the game, and B, Jack Roslovic scores the game-winning goal. And it's a beautiful game-winning goal. Jack Roslovic, I have said for years, I liked him. I thought he would get a good break if he left Winnipeg, that there was just nowhere for him in Winnipeg to be a top six forward, and here he is excelling. But what's interesting is how the storyline is changing. And it's becoming that Tortorella is the problem in Columbus. It's all Tortorella. It's all Tortorella. The reality is Panarin wanted to play in New York. That was known a year beforehand. Bobrovsky wanted out too. The team sat down with Bobrovsky and Panarin the year before, and it was clear these guys were not sticking around. And it had nothing to do with Tortorella. Not only that, Bobrovsky had a very good season his last year in Columbus, and Panarin was fantastic his last year in Columbus, and we didn't have any drama. Not only that, but they played well in the playoffs too, and they had a good little run in the playoffs. Pierre-Luc Dubois, he didn't have a problem with Tortorella last summer / early fall when they had the return, they had the play-in round and everything, and Dubois played very, very well. There wasn't a problem until Dubois showed up in camp, clearly didn't want to be there, and he was playing like he didn't want to be there. And that's where Tortorella goes, okay, so you're benched then. And so what's weird is now that Laine, in his first few games, he's had a couple of good games, but now he gets benched in the third period last night and almost half the second. People get upset, like, oh, it's got to be Tortorella. It's all Tortorella. He's just destroying the team. But it's not. Do you want Bobrovsky's contract? Like, if Columbus had offered Bobrovsky $10 million a year, maybe he sticks around. Would they want that? Duchesne made $9 million a year off of Nashville. Do you want that contract on your team? So this is where the conversation for me with Columbus becomes interesting, because last year, going into that season, after they lost Bobrovsky, they lost Duchesne, they lost Panarin, they lost Dzingel, they lost everybody. And most, myself included, expected them to finish at the bottom of that division. They didn't. They actually made the playoffs. And they honestly looked good against Toronto. Korpisalo had a fantastic year. Merzlikins was really, really good. And they defied gravity in remaining in the middle of that really tough division. And now this year, they're right around the middle. I could see them being a fourth place team in that division. Tortorella's on the last year of his contract, and yeah, maybe he retires. But the idea that Laine being benched in the first game so far, that's happened, means that this is done, it's all over. I would hope not, because aren't we the same people that say hockey players should be tougher and they should be fighting? Well, then fight for your ice time and go out there and show that you belong out there. So it's just weird to me, because we don't want players held to account unless they're our favorite players, is the way that I see it. That will call for the benching of certain players, but other ones it's egregious if they're benched. It's so odd. And I can see that now. I look at some of these comments and I say, oh, that person is a huge fan of Laine. So this is what it is. It's not based on his play, it's they're a huge fan of Laine. That's how I've been seeing it anyways. So it'll be interesting to see how Columbus goes from here. I even thought about wearing a Columbus jersey for this video, but I thought, no, I've been wearing Columbus jerseys a lot lately. Let's just leave it as it is. On the other hand, Roslovic's been fantastic, and he's looked really good for them. So, yeah, I don't see the upset. Adam Boqvist is off the protocol list. He's not ready to return. So, one thing about people testing positive, and I keep seeing this in the comment section, so I'm going to address this here. Players are getting sick, and they're ending up pretty sick, and they're ending up pretty run down. So we'll look at this here. He's not ready to return. He doesn't have his energy level back. He doesn't feel good. And Samsonov, the goaltender for the Capitals, said he had trouble breathing and walking for a few days due to having a bout with COVID himself. Have they recovered? Mostly yes. Are they feeling 100%? Absolutely not. This knocks you out for a few days, knocks you down. Now, if you're a person that got this and everybody you know got this, got better, kudos, that's awesome. I also don't go into cancer wards and go, hey, I know people that had cancer and got away with it. Pfft, what's wrong with you people? That's not how that works. So, yeah, hopefully Boqvist is good to go as soon as possible. Hopefully Samsonov is as well. And I know there's other players battling this right now. And so, yeah, it does affect athletes. It absolutely does. They do get sick, and they do end up getting knocked off their feet for 3, 4, 5 days. It's just the nature of this. That's kind of how that works. And so I can't imagine for coaches, Ralph Kruger being a coach who tested positive, he's in his 60s. Can't imagine it's going to be better. I know he's in good physical condition, but it's still got to be rough. Now, the Sabres do practice today, so if you're looking for positive news, there's that. The Sabres do practice today, and we'll see them out on the ice probably sooner rather than later, especially in comparison with some of the other teams. So yeah, that's some good news, and they're going to have discussions with the press today about how things are going for them. No word yet on Kruger's status and whether or not he's going to be behind the bench for them when they return to the ice. Eric Brandstrom's out 7 to 10 days for the Ottawa Senators. The good news is Will Lannon's going to be back in the lineup. So I want to say this too. Brandstrom being in their lineup seemed to coincide with the team playing better. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not Brandstrom being out of the lineup has a negative impact on the Ottawa Senators. Zach Kassian, he's out. He's week to week because we can't have nice things. I was really looking forward to seeing Kassian against the Senators and the Flames and going crazy with the Kachucks. So he's out week to week with what they're calling an upper body injury due to his fight with Eric Goodbranson last night. So when we don't get those matchups and we don't see Kassian out there fighting with the Kachucks, you can get mad at Goodbranson, I guess, because that's where we're at. As I said, Samsonov has had trouble breathing and walking for a few days, which is, again, that's the experience that a lot of people I know who've had this, that's what they go through, is days of not being able to, breathe comfortably and trouble with the energy to even walk from one space to another. So, again, hopefully he's back sooner rather than later. And on a related note, the Philadelphia Flyers now are, they're dealing with one game being postponed today. Now, the way this has worked is other games usually get postponed right after. So the NHL is probably running tests on other players, and based on that, they will then decide whether or not to postpone other games. Yes, the NHL does have a backup plan that if teams aren't able to play 56 games, winning percentage will decide the playoffs. Because you only play within your own division, it will not have a negative impact on other divisions and who does or doesn't make the playoffs. And so we'll see how many games Philadelphia ends up losing off their schedule, if it's 2, 3, or how that works. And again, there are a few days the NHL can use at the end of the season for padding to put extra games in. But for right now, it looks like Philadelphia is the next one that are down. News from last night's game, too, the New York Rangers. They've finally done what I kind of knew was going to happen. Lafreniere, his ice time has started to drop. So he only played like a minute and a half of the last half of the third period last night. And it's just, you need a goal, you need some offense. Lafreniere's not generating it. He's only got the one goal so far this year. He is a minus in the plus-minus category. He's been generating some chances here and there, but they're not going in the net. The interesting thing is I've seen people saying, think like Jack Hughes last year. No, this is worse. Jack Hughes, I can't remember him having one goal in his first 11 games. I seem to remember him having at least a few more points than that. So this is worse than that. And for Lafreniere, this is again where if you had a junior league to send him to that you could trust was reliably going to play games, I honestly would give it a consideration as a general manager, because there are times where we look back at a player's career and they played too soon. We say, you know what, they were rushed. They weren't actually ready. And that year in the NHL hurt them more than it helped them. There are also those ones that struggle through those rough rookie years and it actually helps them. We'll see which one Lafreniere is. Is he one that's going to be helped by this rough rookie season? Or is it going to be a blessing? Later on he says, you know what, that was great. Now, out of Pittsburgh, the news is Ron Hextall's been offered the GM job. So I may be doing a video later today on Ron Hextall accepting that job. It has not been made official at the time I'm recording this. So Hextall is very likely to be the next general manager. There aren't very many guys who basically go in and interview for a job twice, and when they're offered the job, they go, "I'm a Flyer, yo. I don't work for Pittsburgh." It's not going to happen. So Hextall being GM of the Penguins, that could be very interesting because, of course, they do have kind of a rivalry with Philly, and he was kind of in Philly for a very long time. So. Yeah, and does that mean that then Hextall would try to make trades with the Philadelphia Flyers? He may have a player he really likes with the Flyers he thinks could help the Penguins. Do we see those unusual trades potentially take place? You just never know. And then Bell Media did it again today. I have to close out with this. 1040 is gone. Apparently this happened mid-show where they're on the air, and 1040 is the TSN channel out of Vancouver, and they're just talking away, and all right, we'll be back right after the break. And during the break, they had this statement from TSN saying, well, we're taking the channel off the air, and the channel itself will still exist. It won't be TSN 1040 anymore. It's not going to be a sports channel. And then they played Good Riddance by Green Day. Can we stop playing Good Riddance by Green Day? Do people not pay attention? Do people not know what that song is? Do they not know what this song is about? It's like when somebody goes, I really like that girl, I'm going to play Every Breath You Take by The Police for her. Don't ever do that. That's a terrible song to play. Should it be Careless Whisper? Oh my god, do you not listen to words? So mid-show, they canceled the network, and apparently TSN 1150 and TSN 1290 have also been removed, and they are regional affiliates for TSN. As Bell has said, we're losing money, there's a lot of losses, and so we've had to cut across the radio division. Okay, now I know that radio is not the boon that it once was, and I know that podcasts have eaten into radio, and I know that YouTubers have eaten into radio on some level as well, and it's just people are consuming their information different ways. But TSN 1040 was a very good channel, and I think really, again, they can handle this better. So first you fire Dan O'Toole without telling him he's being fired until after the show's done. You also do this to Brent Wallace and Natasha, where they're just, yeah, you guys are out of here. And now you take a channel off the air mid-show. You remove the Twitter account before you tell the staff and the people on the air that you're taking them off the air. Holy crap, they make billions. They got $122 million from the Canadian government for COVID relief. Couldn't they go out and buy some sympathy cards with that $120 million? What's the card for? Sorry you lost your job. What? Oh, while I was reading the card, they took me off the air. Like, couldn't they do like, I'm bewildered and befuddled. And again, this is why I'm very glad I am here talking to you fine people through YouTube, rather than being like, because a lot of these people work there for a very long time, and to just go from having a job to nothing, the stress of that during everything else that's on this board, during this pandemic that we're all going through, there's a way to do that, and there's a way not to do it. And Bell, not doing it the right way. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I keep seeing people say they're going to cancel their Bell service. Well, that's it, I'm walking out of Bell. People don't normally follow through on that so much. If enough people did, it might put pressure on Bell, but in general, it usually doesn't have any difference, make any difference. But yeah, it's just it just comes across as kind of sort of, I don't know, heartless. Like, give them a week's notice. Give them 2 weeks' notice. Say, all right, so in 2 weeks, we're pulling down TSN 1040, and then you can have, like, a series of shows where you talk about it, and you can... I don't get it. Anyways, there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.